Not just to them, but to all of the world. And Allah also mentions about him that I want you to see. That's why studying the Quran is so important. You want to see how Allah talks about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The more you study it, the more you start to see and understand that it's not two separate entities, the Quran and the Sunnah. They're complementing one another. You're understanding one through the medium of the other. You know, so he's saying, not only are you on an exalted standard of character, your morality is tight, you're trustworthy, you're merciful, you're also kind. And then Allah, he says in the Quran, back at that man, and he said, man, I missed it again. You know, when sometimes we're interacting with the people in the neighborhood and we got this business relationship going, sometimes they clean up, we pay them something. Sometimes they bother us and I get a little harsh. Then I go home and feel guilty. Like you missed it again. You missed the chance to be like that man. You know, so alhamdulillah, we have to keep saying that. I missed it again. You know, what is it? The hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the young boy, was it the Prophet or was it one of his? To know who that individual is, it don't matter what people tell you. They may give you isolated statements. You know, ISIS and Al-Qaeda, they can give you a statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you would think that they got a basis for it. For their rhetoric, for their warmongering, for their killing. You would think that they got a basis for it. Because they just gave you an isolated statement. But if you look at the life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you say, his wife, she said, he never struck anybody. We never heard him, he never struck anybody except for on the battlefield. You know, we never heard him say a harsh word to anybody. You know, Anas ibn Malik said, I served him for 10 years. And he never once said anything hard to me. You know, when we start looking at, when we say khuluqan, when we start looking at this inner characteristic, these qualities of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you realize that goal by studying the Quran and by looking at the life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His wife Aisha, radiallahu ta'ala, may Allah be pleased with her, she said he was a walking Quran on 2 feet. So you want to see the embodiment of the Quran, how it looks, walking, talking, living, then you have to look at this man. And you cannot isolate his statements. You cannot reduce them to a bunch of quotes. And that's what has happened. You know, we say, Allah, Rasulullah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. And we reduced him to just a bunch of quotes. As opposed to looking at this individual's life. You know, so you see this statement, Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّكَ عَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. He also says, لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةً حَسَنَةً. He says, Uswa. Where they do all of these outward things, what should be the end result? Yes, the end result should be some transformation. The end result should be that you are transformed, that when people see you, not only do they see those outward external qualities, but when they watch you, they are amazed. You know, like, wow, that's a good person. I always go back to that, you know, the killing in South Carolina, right? When the white guy went into the church, right? He killed all of those people. And the pastor who was in there, President Obama, when he spoke about it, he said that everybody I talked to, they just said, he was a good man. You know, like Islam is supposed to produce that for you and I. They're supposed to look at you, the man or the woman, and say, all I know is that they're good people. You know, his names and his attributes. Now, what should happen after you learn all of those things? You got to put it into practice. We got to see a better human being. You know, people used to boast about the Muslim because they thought that the Muslim was the last line of defense in a decaying society. In a collapsing, immoral society, you looked at the Muslims in the inner city and you said, that's the last line of defense. Those individuals represent our hopes and aspirations for realizing the best of what human beings can be. They have the outlook down. Every time I look up, they're praying. Somebody's calling me a God, waking us up in our neighborhoods and stuff. The God is going on. They got all this stuff, right? Man, they pray more than anybody. You know, they fast during Ramadan, right? They pay their zakat. They even make a journey all the way to Mecca. You know, so maqasid is the aim and the goal, right? The aim, the goal, the real purpose. So after you learn all of these things, you learn how to worship Allah, you learn His rububiyyah, His lordship, you learn His uluhiyyah, how to worship Him, you learn His